The Hebrides, as I'm sure you all know, are islands that lie off the northwest coast of Scotland. There are inner and outer Hebrides. The outer Hebrides are called the Long Island, really a long tapering string of islands like a kite, from Lewis and Harris and Uist in the north, down to Benbecula, Eriskay, Barra, Mingulay, and the tiny islands at the south end. The inner Hebrides are near the mainland, Skye, Rum, Egg, Canna, etc. Many races have contributed to this island folk. The first we know of were the Tuatha De Danann, a Neolithic people who were small, round-headed, dark-haired, dark-eyed men, skilled in sorcery and magic. They were there in 2000 BC or before that. What may have belonged to them are green mounds all over the islands near the shore on some rock or hillock. They ate fish and shellfish and birds and eggs, and some of these mounds are made of broken shells and bones with occasional delicate flint arrowheads or harpoon tips. They lived in shallow hollows in the ground, roofed over. Many legends concern these very ancient green mounds, called Shean or Fairy Hills. Then there came Picts, Saxons, Britons, and Angles, all fighting each other and ousting each other. About the 4th century BC, the Celts first arrived. They had drifted across France and come in ships up the west coast of England to Wales and Ireland and the west of Scotland. They were tall, fair, blue-eyed people with long heads, and they established themselves firmly, and the Gaelic language gradually displaced the old Pictish tongue. In spite of many enemies, their ships roved the seas, and their kings and chieftains and heroes did mighty deeds, and their bards sang of these deeds for all to hear. Later, about the 3rd century AD, many of the old poems and tales come from Ossian, son of Fingal, king of Morven, a legendary figure, some say, but through him the flowering of the Celtic literature and the rich mythology in which it is steeped became widely known. It was a great civilization, with strange qualities of joy and love of nature and adventure, and rich in poetry, music, and art. These Celts were Druids, and Iona Abbey now stands on the place where was once a Druid altar. There are people of our generation who have seen the smoke and been sickened by the smell and noise of human sacrifice, just at the crossing of the abbey. This, even during a Christian service. Ninian came to Iona in the 4th century, and he was a wise missionary. Dr. George MacLeod told me this story. Ninian first lived with the people and found out all about their Druid worship and beliefs. Then, when he got to know them well, he said, "You worship the sun, the all-powerful King of heaven, and you believe that one day he will walk on earth as a man. I am come to tell you that he has done so. Your priests may only teach between the age of 30 to 33. Those were the years when he taught. You believe in human sacrifice to atone for sin. He sacrificed himself to atone for our sins." So Ninian converted the Druid priest Oran, and St. Oran's chapel is in Iona today. Later, St. Columba came from Ireland and established a vigorous monastery in Iona. It was a sturdy, imaginative type of Christianity, absorbing much of the Celtic mysticism and art and its joy in the world around them. Still later, the Norsemen, or Vikings, sailing round the north of Scotland in their long boats, pillaged the Celtic monasteries, destroying many of the beautiful illuminated manuscripts of the monks, and taking everything of gold or silver or of any value. The Norsemen dominated the Isles for several centuries. All the mountains of Rum, for instance, have Norse names: Aleval, Oraval, Askeval. It is probable that the Islesmen owe much of their love of the sea and adventure to their Norse forebears. Then, after the Norse left, the Saxons drove the Celts back to the west and the islands, and there they remained more or less inviolate in their own way of life. Islands are good places to be. Celtic art was fantastic, colourful and flamboyant. They worked chiefly in bronze, then iron, then gold and silver. Their stone carvings are magnificent and unique, and the illumination and designs of their exquisite manuscripts are world famous. So, as the Celts were pretty remote, besides being strong and independent people, they were quite untouched by the Roman invasion of Britain, and even by the Roman Catholic Church brought by St. Augustine. The Celtic Church was there before he came. Much later, when the Reformation and John Knox put such a damper on all joy and gaiety in Scotland, its influence never reached the Hebrides. Praises be. For the Roman Catholic Church, and especially the Celtic branch, loved song and dance and old tales, and encouraged art, music, and poetry, and even cast a kindly eye on the wee folk and seal women and such, which would have been a wicked sin to John Knox. Protestantism did come later, but in a much more enlightened form. And South Uist, Morven, and Barra are still Roman Catholic today. So, as the islands became more isolated because their great ships no longer roved the ocean, and seafaring was mostly for fishing, the songs, the poetry, the legends, the wealth of myth, mysticism, and fairy lore remained intact and were treasured by the people. They still are today, and the spirits and the fairy folk are still there. Yet, alas, how can this remain for long in a modern world? What are their songs about? There are roving songs of adventure on the high seas, and of the fishermen and the beauty and danger of the sea. There are sea sorrow songs, generally sung by women, dance songs, love songs, laments, long ballad stories of the past, of Cuchulainn, Queen Maeve, and Fionn, the hero without blemish, and of Diarmid and Grianne and Deirdre, and the lords of the isles, and the sea kings and the chieftains. Labour songs, as for gathering seaweed and cockles and limpets, spinning, weaving, and shrinking the cloth, called walking, milking and churning songs, herding songs, songs about seal women, spirits, and mermaid, songs of drowning. They do not sing drowning songs after nightfall. It disturbs the peace of the drowned. Cradle songs, blessing songs, and there are tales and spoken ballads and spells and healing spells. There are songs of Tir Nanok, the land of heart's desire, the blessed isles, which lie to the west in the sunset, and where the souls of the blessed will find haven. These have all been handed down by word of mouth from generation to generation, and have many versions. Such is the intoxicating power of a strong rhythm on the Celtic temperament. Tagore's words seem to suit them. the impetus of an infinite energy to be glad. And Kenneth MacLeod says, the Celt is a creature of extremes. His sadness is despair, and his joy is rapture. There certainly is a capacity for fierce joy seen in these people who live in a world of wind and wave turmoil amid lonely rocks. The restless movement of the winds and the sea are in the songs themselves. And the Isles are a place where people remember or half remember impossible things. There are the fairy folk, or she, who live in those mysterious, almost sacred green mounds, and whose singing may be heard on a moonlit night by those who have ears to hear. It was a fairy who first sang the cradle blessing to the infant chief in Dunvegan. The fairies love human children and often lure them away by their music to live happily with them forever after. You remember Yeats' poem, The Stolen Child. You must always put birch branches over a baby's cradle or baby carriage to protect it from the fairies. I did this very carefully in Colonsay. There are, of course, many women in the Isles who have second sight. That is, can see into the future and forecast what is to come. It is as if, for some, there is a very thin barrier between the supernatural and the physical world in these islands. The seal woman is heard of in many places. She is a seal who once a year may discard her sealskin and be a mortal woman. She may fall in love and marry, yet always she longs for the sea, but cannot return unless she finds her sealskin again. There is the water kelpie, who lures maidens to the depths of dark inland lochans. And there are mermaids. When I was in Barra, I heard many tales of them. It is unlucky for a fisherman to see them. I asked to meet a man who had actually seen mermaids, and I was taken up the hill to the home of Donald McNeill. He only had the Gaelic, but his son was there, a tough, sophisticated seaman from the merchant marine who had been around the world more than once. After I'd heard from his father, I said to the son, "What do you think about mermaids? Do you believe in them?" He replied without a moment's hesitation, "Sure, it's well known. There are two places in the world where you see them, the Bering Straits and the Outer Hebrides." The West Highland voice is a beautiful, gentle one, with long vowels, a musical lilt, and always great courtesy. Where they are Gaelic speaking, their English sounds quite biblical. I will give you two little examples. We were being guided by our gillie to fish in a loch up in the hills, and the tiny rough path sometimes went through boggy ground. He said to me, pointing out the best direction, "By this way the dryness of the land will be found." And when we were out on a sea loch and passed a little island with one seagull perched on its highest rock, he said, "She will have taken the island unto herself." When a native of the islands has been away and returns home again, the first thing he wants is a ceilidh. That is, a group of friends by a peat fire who will sing to each other far into the night. He will thus refresh his spirit and maybe gather another verse for one of his songs. We will now have our all too short ceilidh. The words of the songs are, of course, translations from the Gaelic, with a few Gaelic words here and there. We start with a sea sorrow song, and this is how it came about. Cold thy bed tonight, said a woman once to the spirit of her drowned husband. It is neither hot nor cold, was the reply, but just as one might wish, if as he wished he got. If not cold, lonely at any rate, suggested the woman. I have the best heroes of Lachlan beside me, said the man, and the best bards of Erin, and the best storytellers of Alba, and what we do not know ourselves, the seal and the swan tell us. Treasure of my heart, said the woman, are not we the foolish ones to be weeping and sorrowing for the men, and they so happy in the land under waves?
Snow white seagulls say, may seagulls say, where thou'st left them? White seagulls say, where our fair young lads are resting, or in
Kisimul Castle stands in the middle of Castlebay harbour in Barra. I know it well. This is the jubilant song of a woman watching from the battlements as her hero husband returns from the wars. His sorely wounded ship has rounded the headland and now approaches the harbour. She sings of the welcome that awaits him.
feast for heroes, and harping too, sweet harping too,
Our next song is very different, a lullaby. I will read Kenneth MacLeod's story of how it came about. There was once a shiftless laddie in the Isles who had lost his mother, and that is a sad tale, but had got a stepmother in her place, and that is sometimes a sadder. On an evening he brought home the cattle for the milking, and if they gave little milk that time, and likely it was little they gave, who was to blame for it but the poor orphan? Son of another, said his stepmother in the heat of anger, there will be no luck in this house till you leave. But whoever heard of a luckless chick leaving of his own will? But leave the shiftless laddie did, and that of his own will. And ere the full moon rose at night, he was on the other side of the ben. That night the stepmother could get neither sleep nor ease. Her bed was like a cairn of stones in a forest of reptiles. I will rise, she said, and see if the night outside is better than the night inside. She rose and went out with her face toward the ben, and she did not stop until she saw and heard something which made her stop. What was this but a woman with the very heat glove of heaven in her face, sitting on a grassy knoll and song lulling a baby son with the sweetest music ever heard under moon or sun, and at her feet the shiftless laddie, his face like the dream of the Lord's night. God of the graces, said the stepmother, it is Mary, mother, and she is doing what I ought to be doing, song lulling the orphan. And she fell on her knees and began to weep the soft, warm tears of a mother. And when, after a while, she looked up, there was nobody there but herself and the shiftless laddie side by side. And that is how the Christ's lullaby came to the Isles.
My joy, my love, my darling thou, my treasure new, my rapture thou, my comely beauteous babe son thou, unworthy I to tend to thee. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. White sun of hope and light art thou, of love the heart, and I art thou. Though but a tender babe, I bow in heavenly rapture unto thee. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Now we have a tale of two sisters who, after a day's work at the dulse pulling, were resting on a skerry, a seaweed-covered rock at low tide. But the elder sister was bitter with jealousy of the younger. Little sister of my heart, said the jealous one, in our child days I used to weave the gold brown tangle into thy gold brown hair, and the gold brown of the hair put the gold brown of the tangle to shame. Forget thou art the wife, mother, and play we the old play. Deftly, cunningly she weaved the hair into the seaweed, crooning a lull song as she weaved. So she left her, and the tide rose and covered her.
Tangle and hair I weave ye, fast to the rock I weave ye, tangle and gold I weave ye, fast to the rock I weave ye. For the haze upon the deep, on Kyle nor sea, cool winds can breathe. Tangle and gold, gold unto gold I weave ye, fast to the rock I leave ye. By the shore no pity will show, woman yonder, jealous sister, Nahari Horo, here enticed me, look, oh, and hast left me, Hari Horo, here a drowning, hook, oh. Cold my bed, Nahoko, cold and slimy, Hoko, wet it is, Nahari Horo, wet we brine, Nahok, oh. Blessing of Jesus, blessing of Mother, blessing eternal be on my children. My little child, love of my cooing, seek'st thou tonight thy mother's bosom? And if thou seek'st, vain is thy seeking, full 'twill be of sea water. Ovil, 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 ovil.
So the sea often holds tragedy, and yet sometimes it speaks only of peace. The words of this song are from Ossian. It tells of the serenity of a summer noontide in the islands.
Sleeps the moon in the deep blue sky, while bright the sun shines on corners steep. Sweet sounds the note of the lonely heron. Sleeps the noon in the deep blue sky. Bright the sun shines on corners steep, while hounds for chase all on fire are straining. Their deep-mouthed bay, sweet as bardic music, softly murmuring. Of eagle sweet is the far-heard cry. A sail she o'er Morven's mighty seaboard. Sleeps the noon in the deep blue sky.
Next, we have a song from the island of Egg, and it is mouth music. That means that it is usually sung when no instrument is available to mark the rhythm of a dance.
Horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal, horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal. Dance to your shadow when it's good to be living, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Dance to your shadow when it's fine to be living, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal, horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal. Dance to your shadow when it's hard to be living, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Dance to your shadow when it's sore to be living, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal, horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal. Dance to your shadow and let fate to her fiddle, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Dance to your shadow for it's fine to be living, lad. Dance to your shadow when there's nothing better near you. Horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal, horo haradal, hindi haradal, horo haradal, hindi handal.
We will now end our program with the Eriskay Love Lilt. Eriskay is a small rocky island just north of Barra. Many lovely songs have been found there.
The night or wild the sea, by love's light my foot finds the old pathway to thee. Verme io vano, verme io vani, verme io sad am I without thee. Moon of guidance by night, strength and light, thought to me. Verme io vano, verme io vani, verme io sad am I without thee.